Welcome guys to another episode of TIERMAKER. So in this video we're going to be ranking all of the bosses in Sonic Unleashed, and I did it. I finally beat Eggman Land, the Egg Dragoon, and then Dark Gaia. And yeah, it was a really fun time, but I'll get into the bosses later. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get started with the Egg Beetle. When I first did the Egg Beetle, I had absolutely no clue how to do it, because the Egg Beetle is a very early boss in the game, and I didn't know that I was supposed to boost into him, so I thought that the only time I was able to attack him was the very few sections where you just get like a free chance to do a homing attack on him, and I took forever, and then got an E rank, and then I finally realized, oh wait, I was supposed to boost into him so I can get closer and then homing attack him. But after that, it was a really fun boss, and I think it's definitely one of my favorites. It was, I don't know, it's a well executed boss. So I give it A tier. It's just good. It's a good introduction. Next up, the Phoenix. Uh, it was it wasn't that bad, but I will say every time that you have to throw one of the water barrels on something, it's just a pain. All of the ones where you had to throw the water on the enemies that were on fire, and I think Adabat for the nighttime levels, I would always just brute force it and then hope there was some rings, but I don't know. I didn't really like it that much. I'll give it C tier. Next up, the dragon. This one, it wasn't really that bad, although it was a little. It was a little bit difficult because I didn't really know what I was doing, and also I don't know how. I really don't know how, but I missed the part in the werehog tutorial where you would learn how to run. So for the first until I learned in this boss that you could run, and oh my god, it was actually horrible using the werehog without the run button. But I don't know, it wasn't that bad. I'll give it B tier. It was kind of like neat when you'd hit the heads and then get to go on and attack him. Although one thing that I've noticed is almost all of the werehog bosses all use the QTEs. But anyway, next up, we have this one that I don't remember what it's called, but it was pretty fun. It's a lot of the daytime bosses are really just like the egg beetle, but a little different. This one was fairly similar to the egg beetle, although there'd be a few more 2D sections, and it was mainly focused on dodging stuff instead of just dodging like his prongs, and also like the other things. But this one's pretty. Actually, no, I'm gonna move these down. I'm gonna give this one B tier. It was a pretty good boss, but not as good as the egg beetle. Next up, this absolute wimp, dude. I was going in for some reason. I don't remember what his name was, but I went in and I saw him in the cutscene, and I expected him to be like 20 times the size of the werehog. He ended up being tiny, and I'm like, okay, well maybe he's small but mighty. No, he was not. You hit him like a few times, you push a little crate, and then you're done. It's he's he's actually like I mean, I'm not complaining because it was an easy boss, and I really didn't want to play as the werehog at that time. Not saying that the werehog's horrible, and it's not the best, but it's people say that it's horrible, and it's not that bad. Once you learn a few combos, it's pretty fun. But this guy was actually like so weak. I don't know. I'll give him I'll give him D tier, but oh man, it is a real shocker when you see the cutscene and then see him right next to your character. See, I don't know what this one's called, but next I'll call it the Egg Beetle Mark II. This one, I don't like it quite as much. I will say it's still good, but I liked that in the original Egg Beetle fight, you could kind of just attack him whenever you wanted to. And this one feels a little bit more restricted, but I really like the sections where you have to dodge stuff, and then there's the QTEs, and then you get a boost hit on him. So yeah, I don't like him quite as much, but I think it's still pretty good. So I'll give it A tier, although it's really really close. Next up, we have the Egg Dragoon. I went into this expecting it to be insanely difficult, and it really wasn't that difficult, but it still was really fun, and it was really tense. I don't like it quite as much as the Egg Dragoon in Sonic Generations, because that one's really hard to beat. Although I will give this one, it had the atmosphere. it was really intense, and also like hearing like how like this time Eggman like really wanted to like defeat Sonic and just it be over. It was just really intense, but I still have to give it to the Sonic Generations Egg Dragoon. But it was fun. I liked the different segments, and although I will say I barely took any damage in it, but it was still fun. I think this is the only Werehog boss that I actually like enjoyed playing through. But I'll give it high B tier. See, next up we have Dark Gaia, the first phase. I don't know. It was it was pretty good. I went in my first time. This is gonna sound kind of stupid, but I went in my first time with 32 lives after Eggman Land. I went into Eggman Land with 40, got out with 32, and then did Dark Gaia. And in his first phase, well, not first phase, I got to the Sonic section right before you use Supersonic, and that's when I got a game over. And then I'm like, okay, I really have to prep this time. So I went in with 99 lives and got out of the entire boss with 97. It was actually no, I think I got out with like 96. But anyway, the chip sections with the Gaia Colossus were really not that great. But the Sonic sections where you run through and have to dodge the tentacles, I think those ones are pretty good. But for this segment, although I will say it was also really good for like the atmosphere of it being so intense in the core of the Earth. But he wasn't as good. Eh, I'll, I'll give him, a, hmm, I'll give him A tier just because of how the atmosphere was. Next up, Perfect Dark Gaia. It was really fun, although I really did have to I had to find the speed run of it and then just count how many of the tentacles you had to hit because it felt like I had to just get more and more and more and more just to finally like get it over with. But also at the beginning part where you have to collect rings to get Supersonic's health bar up, I didn't realize you had to do that the first time, and I assumed that there'd be rings all around the globe thing that you could just collect. And I also assumed that it wasn't a health bar and that it was more of just time. But it ended up, I don't know, it was really cool because you knew that after this it was going to be over. And that after this, there was the QTE thing where you had to press the X button like 50 times, which was really scary. But I don't know, it was just like such a good way to end the game. I really liked it. So I'll give him A tier. I will say Sonic Unleashed, it didn't really have it. They didn't really know how to do boost like the boost form bosses yet, which I think they really learned how to do them in Sonic Generations, and then forgot how to in Sonic Forces. But I don't know, they just don't have like the I don't know, they don't feel like as fun to play as the Generations ones. Because in Generations, all of the modern Sonic bosses, Perfect Chaos, Egg Dragoon, Shadow, and Silver, all of those are really fun. And I'm not saying that these ones are bad, they have some really good ones. But they just don't quite compare to the level of the Sonic Generations ones. But yeah, that'll be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and goodbye! Bon appetit!